welcome back to the channel. I'm Sarah and I'm just coming off of some maternity leave. We just had our second baby, and so today I'm joined by my husband Trevor as we are starting a dating series, and we thought what better way to do that than to start off with how we met and what our dating experience looked like. Right. So it's story time. Yeah. Do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so let's see. Right before I met Sarah, I had been on a deployment. So I was overseas, and prior to that deployment, I had been in a long-term relationship. So had spent a couple years single, and then got in a good space, had counseling, all that good stuff that you got to do to kind of get right. And so got back and immediately went on an online dating website. And then found Sarah really quick, had great success on there. Loved her picture, loved the fact that she's Christian. She's working on a book, which I was finishing up my book as well. 3 things. She had her hobbies or how she spent her day, which was coffee shop, gym, and what was the other one? Hiking, or like outdoors. And that was how I was spending my life at that time. So
yeah, we had a lot of things in common, which was really cool. Yeah. When I met Trevor, I was living in Denver and I was working from home as a freelance web designer. I had just come out of a relationship that had lasted about 9 months, and I went through some biblical counseling to kind of just work through some things. Then I met Trevor, thought it was really cool that he was in the Air Force and that he was working on a book.
It was a good first date. It was about halfway in between. Sarah was in Denver and I was in Colorado Springs at the time. But it actually, I picked a restaurant there. I actually ended up being a bar.
Yeah, it was a bar.
But on the pictures, you just couldn't tell, man. But it was really nice in the day, though. There was very few people in there, and it was like just a quaint country restaurant almost. Mm-hmm. So they had a great menu, had about a 3-hour date. We had talked about faith, family, values, which is the most important thing to both of us. We're talking faith, Jesus. Who is Jesus to you? Is he your savior? Is he everything? Or is, he something else? And so we got that out of the way. And
I really liked that Trevor knew exactly, what he believed about the Lord, and our faith and values really lined up on a lot of things.
And we talked about family, and Sarah was important. She was planning for 2 or 3, and I was like 20% chance for 2.
Kids,
so for kids, yeah, that's right. And then values, so politically, traditions, as far as like you're more, traditional or more modern. So both of us are lean way more traditional. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, we had a great first date. Yep. And then you asked me to go on another date.
That's right.
Really sweet.
Feeding into the hiking. Yeah, so I had been doing every weekend this place called The Incline. So in Manitou Springs, which is really close to Colorado Springs, it's a decent hike. And Sarah had always wanted to go. And I guess her friends had just never been quite available.
I had been wanting to go and do the incline for a while, but my friends never wanted to go. Either they had been there and done that and didn't want to go back, or they just plain didn't want to go. So
and it's tough to do stuff like that if you're outdoorsy and you've got friends or people you try to. Sometimes people just aren't, and it's fair because it's a hard hike, but. Yeah, it's tough when you want to do some of that stuff. So I had done it several times. So it was kind of almost like a ritual for Saturday morning for me anyway. So I was like, well, hey, come on, let's go do this. And it's really cool because the incline is very traveled all year long. There's people come from all over the world to check it out. So the chipmunks and the birds and all that kind of stuff, they'll come right up to you and they will
it's super cool.
Just ask for food, or they'll just let you feel, they'll crawl in your hand. But anyway, we decided to walk there. It was only about a mile. They have buses, but it was only a mile. So we thought, let's go.
From the parking area.
Yeah, from the parking area. Had the incline, had great conversation.
Yeah.
Opened up a little bit more. So I mentioned our prior relationships. I'm actually prior married, so divorced. And Sarah talked more about her prior relationship and just kind of getting some of those big things out of the way. Some of it's kind of a little tough on the first date, but that second date, you can't go too far without talking about some of those things. Definitely a good time out there. We did the bar trail down. So the incline up and bar trail down, just like the backside. And then it was, it's about a 5K. So it was a good second date, long second date. And part of that was, and I want to see kind of how she does. Can she do good on the hiking? Where kind of was she? And she killed it. We came down, we found this burger place. we couldn't even figure out how to get inside of it.
The door was like not clearly marked.
Yeah.
It was super confusing. It said something about go through the rotunda.
Yeah.
But we were like, what the heck?
What is a rotunda? I don't even know. A rotisserie
It should have
chicken?
just said enter here. So we walked around trying to figure it out.
The entire block, and we were looking for it. Finally, I got kind of desperate, and I just asked a guy who was like, there was a little fence, and then it was the guy, and he was like eating with his family, and I said, hey, excuse me, how do I get where you are? Like, how do I get there? And he's like, oh, just go to the rotunda. And I was like, we walked around and we literally came to this little white door and we just went in it. And then that was the rotunda.
And then it opened up into this big round room that apparently is the rotunda.
So
we figured it out.
Earned our burgers. Those were good burgers,
Delicious.
Good fries. Yeah. And then walked her back to her car. And then I asked you to come to, let's make dinner at my house, you know. Mm-hmm. Throughout all the dates, I was dropping little bits of information just to assure her that I wasn't living in my parents' house or anything. I think I made a joke about being a homeowner on our first date.
I still remember the pose. Proud homeowner.
Yep, yeah. And so it was, just let her know, you know, some cues there. And then it was the second date coming down the trail. It was a little narrow, and I think she just lost her balance a little bit. And then so I had said, oh, so you're going to need some health care. Don't worry. I've got great health care.
He wanted to make sure he had everything I needed.
So I was like, check, you know. And so, but yeah, just keeping it light, but just some humor in there. And then the third date, she came down from Denver. Man, you drove the further distance for the first date. Came down a longer distance because Manitou was outside of Colorado Springs for the second day and the third. Man, yeah, that's pretty.
I was looking for my husband.
Yeah, she was just, man, you know, that was good. Hey, you know, I'm grateful. It was good, you know. So she came over, we brought chicken and noodles, and I made, what did I make? Oh yeah, bacon wrapped green beans. That was pretty good.
Yours was the fancier food. He did loaded mashed potatoes, which was delicious, and the bacon wrapped green beans, which were also better than what I made. So it was clear from the start that I was not the better cook.
That's okay.
Which has still worked out well.
It worked out well. Yeah, we do what we can. Yeah. So it was good. So talked the night away, and I said, you know what? Do you want to be my girlfriend? No, what did I say? I said...
you asked me if I wanted to date you exclusively.
That's
and then
right.
You asked me if you could kiss me.
And then I asked her if I could
sweet.
kiss her. And then, of course, she said yes. I mean,
and then I set some boundaries.
Yeah,
I said, yes, I will definitely date you exclusively, but here's the catch. No sex before marriage.
That's right. And we kept to that. We did really good job.
Okay.
I said, okay. Said she's worth the wait. Kind of went from there.
We didn't date too long. We started doing some premarital counseling in the next couple months. And the more we did, the more we were like, okay, this is going somewhere.
We also read a really great book, 102 or 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Married. Great book. Yeah, really good book. Went through that sucker. It was really good, and it really has some thought-provoking questions. Of course, the premarital counseling that we did one from the military that they provided. We did one from Sarah's church, and then one from my church. And I feel like we should have got college credit for mine, from my church, because they gave us a workbook.
Yeah, super good.
It was the first question was like, who is God and the universe to you or something?
The first question was something like, what do you believe about the creation
of the universe?
We're like, what does this have to do with getting married?
Like all of this, and it was
But it has a lot to do with it. You know, your beliefs and
can't
past
live together and start the course.
Yeah.
You can't do all. It's good stuff.
Highly recommend the premarital counseling.
Man, I would say if you have a church, if you're each going through a church, do both.
Yeah.
You can't do enough. And it's kind of bad too, because I felt like on the second one, I was kind of getting annoyed a little bit. Like, I don't need this. Like, we're going to be great, you know? And then that third one, I'm so glad we did that third one, because there was stuff that I just, from, you know, what would you do if somebody gets, you know, paralyzed, to how are you going to raise your kids, to how do you handle conflict? You know, how do you feel about finances? All that stuff. And, you know, like I say, you know, if you see a good deal on the shelf, can't let it sit there. You know, you gotta take it off the shelf.
That's right. Well, that is our experience. Those are our first few dates and a little bit of our story. So we can't wait to see you right back here for the rest of the dating series. God bless you.